to the Middle East, to what's going on around Phoenix, and a big trade in the NBA that involves the Phoenix Suns. But first, the big story we're talking about,
Yeah.
Iran today. I think we have do we have a live shot of Jerusalem tonight?
Yeah. Right now, nighttime still there going on. Yeah.
Definitely on high alert.
Actually, I was thinking about you. I mean, so many people, this is a step or two or 10 removed from our lives, but not you. You have a sister in the military, and I'm sure that adds a definite level of anxiety to your
I
life.
do, and she has a 1-year-old, and she's already deployed right now, but she's doing a training, and they have already given her, I don't think it's in connection to the news breaking yesterday, but they've already put her on kind of a status of, we'll let you know about deployment. It would be a 9-month deployment. She's a new mom, but she right now is at Fort Knox, and she's working with veterans. I shouldn't say veterans, active duty, long-time Army guys, and they are there because of their PTSD. And she was telling me yesterday that this news is really triggering for the guys who lived through Afghanistan and Iraq, for sure.
Well, and like what we talked about last night, Nicole Krasean had the story, the most recent Iranian attack on U.S. service members that was in January 2024 in Jordan, Tower 22. I believe it was at least 34 Arizona National Guardsmen and women who were hit in that drone attack, and it killed 3 National Guards members from Georgia. So pretty recent in a lot of people's minds about what could happen with escalations with Iran, the U.S.
Well, the war in Afghanistan, it was pretty much my entire lifetime. And we finally thought, okay, we're not in war anymore. And this was a shock because we don't know what the ramifications are. But for people who live through quote unquote weapons of mass destruction, this is like, all right, here we go again.
A little bit of deja vu.
Yeah, and there's so many layers to all this. I mean, from your sister to people in Iran who, lots of millions and millions of good people who just live their daily lives who didn't ask for any of this. Then there's the Israel concern, people who live there want to be safe. Military troops that may have to go over there, the cost of it all, just the actual dollars it'll cost America if we do get into a drawn-out war.
I think the immediate concern right now is we have a ton of military installations in the Middle East. So the question at the press conference with Pete Hegseth was, what are you guys doing to protect them?
Right.
Yeah, and they wouldn't tell us because obviously that's information they don't want public.
Right.
But that's where the immediate concern is for American soldiers.
A lot of eyes on Tehran right now. What's the next move?
What's the next move? Yeah, that's what we want to know. Should we bring in Hal and talk
Let's
a little bit more about that? Hal Kempfer, our expert in the Middle East. You're in the Far East right now, Hal. Is that right?
I'm in the Far East, yes. Yeah, Southeast Asia.
You have quite an impressive background in all this, and we talked to you last night. What are your thoughts now that a few hours have gone by? Any new insight or opinions you can share with us?
Well, I kind of have two things, Brian, that jump out to me. One is, of course, the level of detail that came out on the actual strike itself, the strike package, as they call it, the B-2 bombers that went over there. The level of operational deception, which is part of the art of war, if you will, and how well executed that was. I mean, yesterday, I think, we were all talking, before the strike, we were talking about B-2 bombers being deployed to Guam. That was part of the big deception. No, they can't hide the fact that these planes are taken off from the, from the airfield in Missouri, but they did kind of deceive everybody as to where they were actually going. And then all the details of going in there and how they hit the targets and what they hit them with, not just the B-2s and the big massive ordnance penetrator bombs, but also the Tomahawk missiles fired from a submarine. It was a truly amazing operation in terms of how that rolled out. The other thing, though, is now we're concerned about Iranian response, which could be from Iran direct, and it could be from the proxies, or it could be from both.
And before you go there, I just wanted what you were saying about the B-2 bombers, what they said today about how they entered Iranian airspace and were out before anyone even noticed, that's pretty phenomenal.
Actually, it's amazing. Well, first off, they are stealth bombers. There's a reason we call them stealth bombers, because they can't be seen on radar. They came in at night. They're obviously very low visibility. So they did all the things that the B-2 bomber is famous for doing in terms of being unobserved and difficult to locate. But in addition to that, they use fourth and fifth generation fighters as basically this decoy package to clear the road, if you will, for the bombers to go in there. According to the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, none of the air defense, and keep in mind, Iranian air defense has been really, wiped out for the most part by Israeli Air Force action, but none of the air defense in that area around those sites activated. No missiles were fired, nothing. So it was, I say this carefully, but it was pretty much a flawless mission from what I can tell.
And Hal, a question on this, because the Pentagon had named it Operation Midnight Hammer, which I thought was very interesting. But the total flight time over from Missouri with those B-2s, refueling them in the air, I believe it was 37 hours. Can you talk a little bit about just the delicate dance of the coordination of all those different assets to kind of make this happen, like Ashley mentioned, right under Iran's noses?
Well, I will say this: my hat goes off to these B-2 bombers, B-2 bomber crews. Holy Hannah, that's a long, long run.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine you're in that. It's not what you call a luxurious cockpit. It's rather small, and you're in there for 37 hours, and that's just a long time to be in the air. All right, and so. But what they did was, they're in the air, they're flying this incredibly long leg. As you saw with the leg, they're avoiding flying over other countries' airspace as much as possible. So they did a really good job doing that. Then when they got over the Middle East, they flew over other countries' airspace, but it was interesting which countries they flew over. I found that route, as best as I could tell it, was a very interesting route, as a route where they wouldn't expect to see any air defense or certainly any fighters or anything ever intercept them. So then they went in there, and when they got over there, there was this complete, deception, or I shouldn't say deception, but decoy plan to basically ferret out if there was anything going on. Now, one of the things that was happening was the Israelis, about the same time, were hitting some F-14s, and normally when your airfields are being attacked like that, the response, you may try to get some aircraft in the air, but the Iranian aircraft are really old. These are F-14s from the 70s. And so they don't have much that they could put in the air. And frankly, I think there was some thought there that if they came under attack, they would just, basically hunker down and not do anything. So it was a pretty good move. It basically suppressed any chance of an air-to-air contact taking place. And the B-2s are very impressive, but they are bombers and they are subsonic. And if an aircraft was to get in the air, theoretically, they could pose a threat to the B-2 bombers. But that appears to have been completely taken care of. So that didn't happen. And then they put the GBU 57s in. And from what we could tell, they did exactly what they were designed to do. We'll find out how much damage was actually done. You can only see so much from satellite images, because frankly, everything that was really destroyed was underground at the Fordo facility.
I was going to ask you about that, Hal, but what can Iran really do? I mean, we saw them strike back at Israel after Israel's first attack. It seemed like they didn't really make much penetration there. So are they going to go back after Israel, even though we attacked them? Are they really ready to take on the big dog, the United States of America, after this? What comes next?
In a way, they kind of have. They fired some missiles towards Israel. They're not really what I would call exact targeting. They just fire the missiles. Some get through, and if you fire at Tel Aviv, it's a dense urban area. And if you fire in there, if a missile gets through, it's going to hit something, and that's kind of what you see, is it hits something. So some of them getting through, most of them get intercepted, but the fear is that they'll start attacking our U.S. bases, and we have bases all up and down, all around the Middle East, but certainly in the Persian or Arab Gulf. The UAE, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, going up to Qatar, up to over to Iraq, to Al Assad, where I was based in Iraq. And I should say I've been to most of these bases out there. I've been to most of the countries out there, stationed at many of the countries out there. So, and further up in Syria, we even have a base. And the fear is that they will attack those bases, which number one, attacks U.S. troops, attacks our bases, but also attacks those countries, which kind of widens the whole conflict across the board. Not sure if they're going to do that. They They have a lot of capabilities in the Straits of Hormuz, very narrow waterway. They have mining capability. We don't have a lot of good mine clearance capability anymore. That was something we kind of lost after the Cold War. And they also have small boats, which can be they don't have a lot of major combatants, but they do have a lot of boats that in that small confined waterway can be really troublesome. And then, of course, a lot of anti-ship missiles. You saw what the Houthis were doing in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, Gulf of Aden. Well, they were getting that from Iran, so Iran can do much, at least that or more, because of the water is actually a much more confined waterway, which will cause a huge spike. It's already having an impact on oil prices worldwide. It'll have an inflationary impact, and we'll feel that economically everywhere.
And Hal, we only have about 2 minutes, but we talked to you yesterday, and I had told you a lot of people feel like this puts a target on Americans' back, and you scared the hell out of me when you said that Hezbollah has cells in the Southwest. Can you just talk about the potential for retaliatory strikes on Americans on our own soil?
Well, first off, Hezbollah is a proxy. That's the Lebanese proxy of biggest proxy of Iran. Of course, Iran trained them, equipped them, financed them, did all this other stuff. The Iranians, the Al-Quds Force, under the Revolutionary Guard Corps, they are I don't know if you want to, they're the operatives that go out there and train these guys, but they're also operatives in and of themselves. And then there's Iranian intelligence. They have been doing all sorts of stuff. They have had a number of plots to do assassinations on U.S. soil. We have picked up, and I say I've worked very closely with law enforcement, federal, state, local, for a very long time, decades. And I've traveled all over the Southwest, all over the West, working with the Homeland Security Fusion Center program, which was the intelligence program to ferret out threats like Hezbollah and like, Iranian threats, stuff like that. And I will tell you that they have been looking at a variety of target sets, critical infrastructure. They look at, obviously, they look at Jewish facilities, but they also they seem to be focused on Christian megachurches. For whatever reason, we seem to keep seeing them pop up there, and we're never quite sure what their plan is. But they're not doing anything. They're collecting intelligence, but the thinking is they're building up the target folders,
Hal, if
getting ready.
Welcome back to Fox 10 Talks as Ashley and I discuss
It's a
behind
fight
the
to the
scenes,
death.
It's
really.
Who's gonna do what, when, where, and why, and how? And I always forget YouTube. Forgive me, people, if you're on YouTube. We'd love to hear your comments, and we'll try to get to them too. We get to talk about something kind of fun right now.
Yeah, World War
I mean,
III too.
to at least
Don't say that.
I shouldn't say fun. I should say a trip that a special person took for a special reason.
Yeah.
And there he is.
Michael Obi.
Back from Ireland. Did you pick up any?
Ireland and London, yeah.
And London.
Yeah.
Can
So tell us a little bit about, you saw the sites, right?
Well, I think it was an appropriate transition because I looked at a lot of like former war memorabilia, and the British Museum was the main attraction, I would say, and lots of ruins and human misgivings going on in that museum.
And like you and I said, I've been to Ireland myself. It's like there's a castle on every corner. Like you're like, oh, we better go to this castle, and then there's another one, and there's another one, and there's another one.
Makes you wonder if they got like a Zillow for castles over there. We would try to be like, that's like a studio castle. They weren't very successful.
Mike, how was the culture and how was the treatment of Americans?
No issues. We did have one cab driver who was from formerly Yugoslavia. I got him a little riled up about the early 90s, but understanding.
There you go again, Michael.
Not a Milosevic fan, I assume.
No.
Stirring up world relations, messing things up.
Yeah, he was Bosnian. So
yeah. Got to be careful there.
He was, but he was happily in Ireland, so
How was
everybody
the
was super
food?
nice.
Yeah.
Food, Irish food, excellent. English food.
Really?
I'm glad we separated a while back on that one.
I don't think England's exactly known for its.
I always think
food,
of
right?
Indian food when I think of London.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't make anything good on their own.
If you go Chinese food, Indian food, Mediterranean food, any food from somewhere else, they're really good at
Imperialism?
other people's things. Yes, exactly.
Oh boy.
As we'll get into with the full screen side.
Imperialism on the food basis. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Their English breakfast was okay.
What is an English breakfast? Does that include beans?
Beans, mushrooms,
That blood sausage
tomatoes.
stuff. Did you do that?
Ooh.
That's
I
blood
didn't do
sausage?
blood sausage. It says what it is in the name, and that was good.
You're
I
out.
Need to,
You're-
yeah,
What was
I
your-
like meat.
What was your favorite thing to see? You talked a lot about the Blarney Stone.
The Blarney Stone, the Blarney Castle was awesome. The Blarney Stone I thought was going to be a tourist trap, which it kind of is. But the Blarney Castle, the botanical gardens that surround it are really awesome. So I would highly recommend getting out of Dublin, driving the Irish countryside. It's very lush, green, opposite of everything that was going on here.
And opposite side of the road.
Opposite side of the road. That takes a little getting used to, but it was hard driving on the right side of the road when I came back. I feel like I was too relaxed
Good point.
with the left side at that point.
So you're the one causing all the traffic problems out there.
Hopefully
lately.
not, but hopefully I see headlights and understand what's going on.
Get out of the way. We're
Yeah.
glad to have you back, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, before we go, we have to talk about the fact that you kind of like hopped a fence and went into
Breaking
a
international
little
laws.
bit, but it was to, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but yeah.
Is Interpol listening right now?
Yeah, I was there for a specific reason that I won't get into. I'll save that for my own podcast one day. But I'm an international criminal, and people might be looking for
Outlaw.
me. I really just wanted to show off my athleticism. I scaled, I believe it was 32 feet wall, single bound, and at the Cliffs of Moher. I just really wanted a better view, really.
Sure.
It's all about the pictures when you're on
That's
vacation. So.
pretty badass.
Is there any
Yeah.
reward up for grabs for your arrest? Because maybe the three of us could take him down,
Yeah.
hold him a little.
Well,
I
when
don't
you
have
look
any
at
loyalty.
If you look at the exchange rate with the euro,
Good point.
it pays out
It would.
well.
Okay, it would be worth it, or wouldn't be.
We'll
do the
I
math
don't
later.
know.
We'll
Good
do
luck.
the math.
I'm,
We'll do the math.
I'm tough to tackle.
Did you have an encounter with an English Bobby about this?
Is that a policeman?
That
Yeah,
would be,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It was it was in Ireland, so I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
what they have there, but
Right.
they had vests and they seemed official. I was getting text message from some family and friends saying, don't come back. There's people in vests waiting for you. But they gave up after a while.
I did.
Oh,
I
wow.
did literally speak to an Irish cop when I was there. I think he was speaking English, but the accent was so thick. It was. I just started kind of giggling and laughing with him to get along because I had no idea what the guy was saying.
I love that accent.
It was.
I wish I could do it.
Like almost a different language.
Not
Yeah.
really the best advice to be giggling at a cop here on Fox 10 Talks, but when they're giving you instructions.
Yeah,
but
I was,
If you're Brian
smoothing
Webb, you
over
can, I guess.
international relations.
Right.
All Americans aren't
trying to find
crass
understanding.
and loud. Yeah, we're polite too.
I can't even imagine you giggling. Brian Webb
Giggling.
giggles.
It's kind of
He's
an
more of
evil.
a hummer.
It's kind
He
of
likes
an
to
evil.
hum tunes.
All right.
Woo.
Should we get Ashley out of here and talk some
should.
sports?
Big day in sports.
Big day in sports. Ashley doesn't like
What
sports.
sports?
Why don't you like sports more?
Man.
What sports?
Wow. Well, he's going to dance on over here and get in here.
Robbie Baker knows about
throw
sports.
Ashley her badge so that she can
Yeah.
get out of
There we go.
our locked studio here. It's probably time. I should. The jig is up. I've actually been an undercover Interpol agent for 5 years. This is a
Wow.
long sting
Wow.
operation
Busted.
to get Obi.
The
Busted.
dedication.
So
Yeah.
yeah, after this, I'll be hauling Obi out of the office.
If you need any help, I'll try to find somebody.
If you can back up, he did say he was hard to tackle,
I
and
believe it.
I'm not the largest
I believe
gentleman,
it.
so I may need some backup.
I'm a
here.
good character witness.
That's
Okay.
Maybe I could get traded to another
Yeah.
country if you
Hey,
want.
there you go.
Yes.
Yes. No, all jokes aside, speaking of trades, we finally got our blockbuster today.
We
Kevin
did.
Durant, a member now of the Houston Rockets. The Suns making that trade. In return, the Suns will receive Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick in this year's draft, and then 5 future second-round picks. That is the haul in return for one Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, actually, this all kind of came out this afternoon. Kevin Durant was at a fan event, I believe it was in New York when this happened. So they actually did get some sound up in New York, wherever the event was, from Kevin Durant. And he kind of admitted as much that he kind of had a hand in this and kind of dictating a little bit where he was more comfortable being traded, where he wanted to go. Houston's been the kind of presumptive leader in the
Really?
clubhouse for
He's
this.
a
from the-
Texas guy.
He's a Texas guy, of course, went to Texas. Houston's been the team we thought for a while was going to be the team that ultimately would make this trade happen because they had so many assets, whether it was young players, proven players, draft picks. Did the Suns get enough in return? Who won this trade? You can go on the internet. You're going to find whatever answer you want to find. You will find it on the internet right now. The truth is, we don't know.
Yeah.
This is going to take, for Houston, they get Kevin Durant. They were the second seed in the West this
Right.
year. They are going to be presumptive title favorites going into next year when you had Kevin Durant. For the Suns,
Wow.
the jury is going to be out. They got some young pieces. They got some draft capital. They still got some work to do.
Wow.
Well, and I mean, we talked a little bit about the trade with going to Houston and where that interest is. But Robbie, what's the pulse on Phoenix Suns fans? Are they feeling a little bit of relief, a little optimism, or is it?
I mean,
We don't know yet.
For me, I'm kind of just glad we have resolution.
decision.
There's a decision made, and it was done before the draft. The draft is coming up on Wednesday night. So now
Yeah.
we know the extra draft capital the Suns have to work with. We have a little bit of idea of what the roster construction looks like now, although there will be some moves they still have to make because right now they have, I think, 6 or 7 shooting guards on the roster. They're going to have to figure
Wow.
some more things out. In terms of how Suns fans feel, though, I don't want to be too much of a Debbie Downer here, but I was going through, you know how like your phone will give you memories from how many years ago or stuff? 4 years ago today, 2021, on this date, was the Valley-oop. When
Wow.
DeAndre Ayton hit the buzzer beater to put the Suns up 2-0 in the
On
Western
the
Conference
Bucks.
Finals
Yes.
over
Right.
that was against the
Bucks?
Clippers.
Clippers, my
and then
bad.
that sent
My
them
bad.
that would end up going to the NBA Finals. So, how much has changed in
But-
4 years here on planet Earth?
But based on what you just said, though, it really sounds like Houston's walking away with the better deal here. I mean, they're going to be title contenders right off the bat, and we're just, well, how do we do? We don't know.
The big thing with Houston is they were able to keep their kind of most coveted assets, if you will. They have some really good, young, talented players, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Reed Shepherd. There were some very young players in Houston, but very talented players that I think Suns fans were probably hoping would be included in this deal as some extra capital coming back. Jalen Green is a very good player. He averages over 20 points per game. He's a prolific scorer in the NBA. The only issue, if you want to call it an issue, he plays the same position as Devin Booker. They're both shooting guards.
Right.
So when you look at what they brought back in this trade, you now have 2 very good high-level guards. you also still have Bradley Beal on the roster.
Right.
You still have Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen. That's where I was kind
It's
of
like-
alluding. The roster construction, there are still moves to be made here.
It's like me, and I look in my closet, and I have the same shirt over and over and over and over again. The Suns have the same kind of player
The
over
Suns
and over
have
again.
a lot of white dress shirts in their closet, and they decided to
Exactly.
buy another eggshell one. So it's
There you
kind
go.
of, you know,
Right.
it's similar, but it'll be interesting. The truth is, it's very hard to evaluate these things when they happen, you know, like I said, because you don't know who the Suns are going to draft. You don't know what other moves are going to be made. And truthfully, I don't have inside, knowledge on this necessarily, but if you just read the tea leaves, there is no way the Suns are done adjusting this roster. Obviously, because some guys are going to leave in free agency, the Suns will add in free agency, and when you look at the rosters or the salaries going in and out here, Kevin Durant on a huge deal, but the way that the Suns have to operate in the second apron of the tax rules that they're in, going above the salary cap in the NBA, they basically had to bring in close to equal salaries. So this wasn't, a situation where the Suns made this trade and now they have more flexibility. They are still in the second apron. They are still a very expensive basketball team. Those are still things they're going to have to figure out in the next couple weeks and months.
Wow. And you talked about a little bit of that capital that they're going to have then to go into the NBA draft. Number 10 pick. Am I wrong on that?
This
Yeah,
year.
This year, yeah.
this-
The 10th, they'll have the 10th overall pick. If I remember right, they'll have the 10th overall pick now, the 29th overall pick in the 55th or something like that, somewhere around that range. The last time, I feel like I'm the Debbie Downer guy here. The last time the Suns had the 10th overall pick, they selected Jalen Smith. They could have taken Tyrese Halliburton. He went 12th overall in that
Oh,
draft.
interesting.
So that's just a little fun tidbit there. But no, the Suns will have the 10th overall pick. I would imagine they will probably lean towards some size. This is an interesting draft class because the top two picks are presumptive, expected to be superstars. After that, wildly different evaluations on guys. I would imagine the Suns need size. They need a center. They need bigger wings. I think that would probably be their draft priority.
We got about 30 seconds left. Can you tell us a little more about what's going to be on Fox 10 Sports Night?
I believe plenty of Kevin Durant talk. Yeah, we'll be breaking down this trade from all angles. And back here, Fox 10 Talks, we're doing a special sports edition at 7 o'clock tonight,
Nice.
where Richard, Megan, and I are going to talk all things Kevin Durant trade, winners, losers, what fans think, all
Heck
that
yeah.
jazz.
I'll alert the media to that.
There you go.
Awesome.
Boom. Thanks, Robbie. Good
Let
stuff.
the media know.
Thanks, guys, for watching Fox 10 Talks Weekends. I'm Trenton.